Good morning, brothers and sisters. It is I, Landon Father Doom Gus, here this morning with a mission log update on my Doomed Realms campaign setting primer, which is the creative mission that you, my patrons, have sent me on. And what you're looking at here, is the fruits of my labor so far. And it's a lot more than what you're looking at just right now on the screen, because I originally started the world primer how I think a lot of us always do. I just tried to write it out, and I ended up getting very frustrated and wasn't having a lot of fun with the process. I was just kind of just going in mind loops with these ideas that I couldn't quite capture with words. And then I was getting frustrated with myself that I couldn't do it, which meant the creativity was getting even worse, right? That self-destructive loop that I think a lot of us fall into. So I did something different. I took a step back and said, you know what? Why not try and show you all, or the players, or whoever this is for in the future for a game in the Doomed Realm setting, right? Why not show you what this world looks like and what its lore looks like, rather than just tell you? So we're going to do a little bit of both today in this post. So let's just jump into it, right? This is where I am at so far with our creative mission to create a primer, or a setting primer, for the Doomed Realms. And to do this first, there's a couple kind of key terms we're going to want to go through. Number one, magic in this setting is a molecular altering glyphic incantation code. It is this sort of computer programmy-esque approach to the fabric of reality that maybe like some super advanced AI figured out how the simulation that we all live in is programmed, right? And that is how mortals were able to start changing the fabric of reality, was with the software code, almost like Matrix-esque kind of idea there. But also it's glyphic incantation based. So that brings in the fantasy, or that mashes the sci-fi and the fantasy. It's not just code. It's not literally code. It's not some person at a computer programming this world. It is a glyphic incantation system, and glyph being like based in, that could be words or images and statues, right? But that gives you your freedom for weird occult god worshiping rituals being performed type deal. So in order to do the sort of software molecular altering magic code to change the fabric of reality, you have to in some way use some glyphs and some incantations, right? So that's what magic is in this setting. Is it like computer programming, matrixy sci-fi, or is it old classic fantasy D&D magic system? It's a little bit of both, right? Okay, so that's what magic is in the setting. Next, we need to talk about the church in the context of this setting, because the Church of Doom is us. It's the people who watch the videos. It's the people who run our games, who do the world building, all that kind of stuff. But in the context of the world, I didn't want there to be a Church of Doom. It was starting to, it just felt too meta. I tried it. I was working with it a little bit, and I just kind of ended up dropping the idea to go with this instead. So the church is the coded human urge to respect clerical hierarchy. Now, I'm not even going to get too into this or too lost in the weeds with this, because it's kind of meant to just take you in a bunch of very conspiratorial sort of rabbit hole directions, right? But I was very intentional with the idea that church came after magic, because once magic was figured out and they had the code, now you start to see the churches of this world pop up, which have coded human urges to respect their clerical, or the clergy, the whoever is kind of in charge of the temples or whatever of this world, to respect their hierarchy. So church in this context, in my world, is like very much literally a brainwashing type effect that is happening through this magical stuff that is going on. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because I think that's very cool and mysterious, and you can fill in the details with whatever you want. Two other little acronyms, and then we're going to get to some really cool stuff. ARC. ARC. Oh, I was trying to remember why I put this first. It's very important why this comes first. What is an ARC in the context of the Doomed Realms sci-fi fantasy RPG setting? Well, it's an arcane repopulation craft. Arcane just kind of being another word for magic, so all of this still applies here. Repopulation, because the original world that the Doomed Realms takes place in, and maybe that's what the Doomed Realms is. The name Doomed Realms isn't even referring to the current setting, it's referring to the past. I don't know. So much of this setting is intentionally left up in the air. Like, I kind of just have this creative idea, and I kind of toss it to you and let you grab it and run with it wherever you want to go. But the reason it's a repopulation craft is because the doomed realm or the old world it's dead. And in fact, the heavens themselves are dying. It is the heat death end of the universe type scenario. It is entropy. It is there is no hope. We have to go find somewhere else to live. And in order to do that, we need to build these magical repopulation crafts that can take us up into the heavens and go find somewhere to survive. Now, is it literally heat death end of the universe that far in the future? No, unless you want it to be. Like I don't think it really matters that much because you know at that point it's like whoa, like technology and what things can get so crazy advanced at that point it's hard to kind of even conceptualize. So maybe it's like 100 years in the future and it's just we're desperate to get off of a planet that we've killed or something, right? Like again, there's your creative ball. All right, here comes the big fun twist, or my favorite little seed that I've put into the world so far. Okay, right? So we know there's magic in this setting. We know that there is technology and there is spaceships and it's got some artificial intelligence things kind of going on there, right? That has a lot of origins in our RPG church here, so that's fun. But so we know that there's that kind of stuff going on. We know that there is this idea of the church or a church or churches or something, but they are this clerical hierarchy that has magic. And we know that there is the arcs plural. I don't know, that's up to you. In my case, I just kind of have thought about the one, but it is a magical spacecraft going out to try and repopulate the heavens with people. Here's the last little bit. That is a very, very tall order to ask of any person, right? Like to ask any living mortal, which I guess I should note now, my setting is a very human-centric setting. I just think it's easiest for world building and players to kind of get into the mind of a character before exploring maybe some other races. Not to say that there aren't elves and dwarves and things like that in the Doomed Realms. There totally are, and we'll talk about that either at some point in this video or in a future one. But for the most part, it is a human-dominated world, and so that means things are on a human timeline. People don't live as long as the elves do, and so you can't what do you do when you have a craft going out into space for thousands of years, maybe, that you have to have people in cryo sleep? You do what every sci-fi movie does, every sci-fi setting does, and you get your evil artificial intelligence. Well, I shouldn't say evil, I guess. I'm burying the lead a little bit there, but here we go. Vecna, the virtually enlightened cosmic navigator arc. Vecna is what the church built as their Jarvis or Hal, right? I can't do that. Wait, what's the one in Space Odyssey? Is that the big red eye? Is that Hal? I can't remember, but that's the idea, right? That is their AI thing that is going to pilot their arcs that they've entrusted all of the church's knowledge to. All of humanity's last hope basically went into the artificial prophet known as Vecna. Again, virtually enlightened or artificially intelligent, cosmic or heavenly space navigator, pilot, astrologer, or even like magus, like a wizard is another term that maybe he's known as, someone who reads the stars. Ooh, very cool, right? And then arc. That's why this had to come first, to set the context of what is an arc and who is piloting it, right? And speaking of piloting, off it goes. There is Vecna and the church, and all of humanity's hopes flying off into space. Now, or guess I should say the heavens, as they are now more commonly known as, not really referred to as space anymore. But on to the next slide. So, where is humanity going exactly? Where is Vecna taking them? Well, he is taking them to, I believe I should have, yes, okay, the heavens. This is the nearest hospitable sector. Oh, shoot, sorry, I've got a little wonky there with the wall here, but he is taking them to the only place that humanity has any hope of surviving the end of this apocalyptic doomsday scenario that is going on in this universe, right? And that just so happens to be this black hole that has formed with two suns orbiting it, and they have named them him and her. Now, this was inspired originally by Morkborg and their universe of the two-headed basilisk, he and she. I loved that. I wanted to bring that into my world somehow, and so I had these two suns. And because I also saw this as like a humanity's being not only is it the last hope, but it's like a chance to be reborn, to go repopulate. It's sort of an Adam and Eve type deal. So, but rather than doing Adam and Eve, I just wanted to do him and her. So that is what they've kind of named this, or humanity in Vecna. This is where they're going. They're going to, maybe it's called like the Urchin sector, even maybe because these two suns look like urchins. And you'll notice I gave them eyes. I guess I don't really have any like specific lore there or anything, but just just note that eyes have a prominence in my setting. And they're gonna pop up a lot, and they just have a lot of strong symbolism. And Miscast is doing something similar with his warband that he's working on in a video that I watched that was really good. You should go check that out. Anyways, back on topic. Vecna is bringing humanity to him and her at this black hole. And here's the plan, right? So Vecna and the church are coming to this black hole, not to fly into it or anything like that, but because if the universe is ending, if everything is dying, then humanity, our human-centric world, doesn't really know what happens inside a black hole, but we know that time is weird outside of it, right? I'm pulling a lot of this a lot of this scientific research from Interstellar, but I'm sure that is backed by something credible, right? But the church's plan was to just sit at the edge of this black hole and use that time dilation, to use that weird whatever's happening with gravity to stretch out humanity's timeline, to give the people, the last mortal souls that are on, souls is a very important term actually, but to give these human souls time to repopulate, time to sit here at the edge of oblivion and not only repopulate, but find solutions to push their technology even further. And the thing about this black hole, though, and the thing about this entire plan that kind of throws everything into the true like doomed realm setting is them, or they, right? I guess obviously I want to run in a million different directions when there's a giant death tyrant forming out of a black hole to eat the world, but I'm gonna just control myself and try and stay focused here and say this was a trap. That's where I was getting to. This whole thing, everything I've just been describing, was a trap laid by them. Now, who exactly are them? They are the demons. They are the aliens. They are the Fae. They are the Xenos. They're whatever you want the enemy of mortals to be, or the enemy of humanity. And most importantly, they devour souls. Whatever they are in your version of the Doomed Realms, they also knew that the universe was dying, and they also knew that they needed to eat souls to live. Well, mortals have souls, and it just so happened that the last craft of souls was coming to this black hole that they had created. They had planted the seeds of this rumor of this black hole and these suns for humanity to go there, believing it would be their salvation. Only because these aliens, these advanced, or I guess I'm assuming they're aliens, right? Whatever they are in your world, these advanced evil beings were hiding inside the black hole, right? I said that humanity could never see what was inside of it. We don't know what happens inside a black hole. They are what is inside a black hole. It's like kind of like Doom, that video game, right? It's you go to Mars and you don't understand what you're doing. You dig too deep and you open a portal to hell. It's kind of like, yeah, you peek into a black hole. Oh my God, there's them, the evil thing, right? So humanity shows up. They appear. We're gonna eat your souls forever. You're trapped here. It looks like it's game over, right? Not quite. This is where it gets even crazier. So Vecna, being the artificial prophet of humanity, was entrusted basically with full autonomy of how to preserve humanity. And how did he go about doing that? Well, it's a little... The exact details are lost, but all we do know is that there was a big bang. Right? There was a big bang. Something happened. There was a sacrifice that was made. Was it that Vecna blew himself and the church up to kill them to save humanity? Or was it that Vecna, blinded maybe Vecna blew up one of the suns to kill them, and that's where the rumor of Vecna losing one of his eyes comes from. It was actually just one of these suns that he blinded. I don't know. I'm never going to tell you what happened with the Big Bang. All I'm going to tell you is that there was one, because what really matters is what comes next, right? So take a look at these colors first. I want the colors are very important for kind of emphasizing and reinforcing the setting in this lore that I've designed. So notice this color of the pink and yellow was the same color as the urchins, he and she, that were orbiting, right? Well, now that's the entire night sky, or the heavens. The black void of the heavens has been replaced with seemingly one of these other suns. Kind of interesting. Now we've got this one here, just a pure white, abyssal, almost kind of like wormhole looking urchin. It has the same shape as a sun, right? Just like he and she before, again, kind of mirroring this. So we've got one of the suns that is like superimposed. We've got another one of the suns right here. And then we've got also, you can faintly see it, these eyes that are all orbiting it, right? And they are very similar to the eyes that were orbiting them, their unblinking gaze, right? So all of those elements kind of get brought together on this canvas to then show you that here's our world. Here is the doomed realm. Here is Urchin. Notice the color. It's that dark, dead, greenish color of them, the unblinking one who appeared out of maybe wherever we are right now. Like, where are we right now? I don't necessarily have an answer, but I kind of have like what I think might be the most implied explanation as to where humanity is, right? But so after the Big Bang, we've got Vecna, the church, seemingly, kind of being on top of this death tyrant, a cycloptic skull, almost kind of being worn like a crown, or like blinding their eye or something like that. And if you saw the church before, if you've been following my channel at all, we love crab symbology, crab claws, and they're creepy and they're weird and they're occult, and I love them. So this church has crab claws and legs that are kind of gripping into the skull, and you've got these jagged rocks and another kind of urchin looking shape here blasting out of whatever this thing is, whatever the doomed realms has become. Is it a literal, like, did Vecna, this AI, merge itself with this maybe like an undead demon thing to live forever, to give humanity a chance to live forever? Is that what this thing is? Or is it literally just a big dead god skull that the church is built on top of? It could be any of those things. It doesn't really matter, because that's like just fun. That's like, I say it doesn't matter as a kind of a scapegoat, as the game master, be like, oh, I can just come up as many times as I want with these big picture world lores, right? I can change the big picture as many times as I want if I get bored with the setting. It's not little, but it's the more focused details that we have to keep canon, because those are the ones that truly matter to the players. They can really impact their decisions. But anyways, let's come back to focus on just how freaking cool this whole set, this image is. And my idea for what happened here is that Vecna did merge with them somehow to form a new type of planet that has fallen into a wormhole that formed, or I'm sorry, the black hole. Like, it basically, he flew the church straight into them, crashed into them, and they have fallen into the black hole. And now this light is one of the suns that maybe they see orbiting outside of the black hole as they're falling down into it. Or maybe they blew up one of the other suns, or Vecna blew up one of the other suns, and that created another black hole that kind of sucked everything in, and it just undid the very fabric of reality in the Big Bang. There's just so many crazy things going on that now you've kind of inversed reality, and maybe the church and Vecna and mortals and they are all just falling down into the abyss. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is the abyss. I don't know. I kind of need your guys' help with this. And like I said, this is a mission report or a mission log. This is not finished. So I would love to kind of hear if you guys see any clear directions that maybe I'm missing in the comments. But I've got one more slide to show you to capture the spirit of the doomed realms and kind of what the world actually looks like now, right? Because everything up to this point has been from the perspective of like a god, or the GM just kind of floating out in the astral sea, just watching them create this world, right? Let's get down on the surface of the world. So every time we've seen the planet, it's been very jagged, or the suns or most things that we've seen here have been spiky and jagged. And so I wanted that reflected on the landscape here with these tall, big, huge mountains, all of them capped with temples and churches and things like that that mortals are building. Now, if I were to just now start talking about mortals and what they've been doing on this world, this video is going to be another like 20 or 30 minutes long. So I think I'm going to actually like call it here, and just kind of leave you with this image. And probably my next video will be an update, or the next mission log will be what's going on with mortals now. Because I haven't really told you anything about them or these souls that are so important that they eat and stuff like that, right? So many questions still left to answer, but I just love this imagery of mortals building their spires ever higher up on the surface of this world, giving it even greater, an even similar appearance to an urchin as humans build more and more of these spires and things like that, all trying to reach this wormhole. That is what they believe their deliverance is. If they can reach her, the one of the suns that lies outside of the wormhole in the sky or whatever, maybe they can get back to where they're supposed to be. But that's just what some people believe. I'm already starting to get lost in the details because I saw that floating by. Thanks, ADHD. All right, I'm actually going to call it now. That's it for me. I hope you guys got really inspired by that and want to do something cool for your own world. And we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.